Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this session of Easy Dharma for the New Normal. And today it's going to be another session on the Wheel of Sharp Weapons. All right, let's see who's on. Wait, let me mute my laptop before I do that. Okay. Nobody's on. No, there's Jacinta and there's Esther Go. Welcome. You're two people who is earliest. I think I'll wait a little bit more before I begin. And today I'll be doing verse 101 onwards, and we're pretty close to finishing this book. And then there's a little bit of epilogue which I can read that will bring in some interesting information, a little bit of Dharma, of course. I mean, the whole thing is Dharma, but anyway, yeah. So I see a lot more people on. I see Jillian, welcome. Duncan and Kwang Ming, thank you very much for joining me. So today, before we get into the actual reading, we'll be talking a little bit about something I read online on Facebook. Someone posed a question, and it's quite funny actually. The answers to this question is quite funny. The question itself was interesting. The question was, what happens when you become a Buddha, completely enlightened? So I think a lot of us have a pretty much good idea of what it means to be enlightened, and but the answers was quite funny because that struck me because I was reading the answers on it's actually a Facebook post, some kind of Buddhist grouping, and a lot of weird answers. Some said, "Oh, nothing happens when you become enlightened." Some said, "Oh, does it really matter when you become?" And then there was one that you go puff, And so it was when I read it, I really had a good laugh, and so we'll be talking a little bit about what it means to become a Buddha, what it is a Buddha, and I will try to avoid using the normal jargon. There's some that in on that post that wrote about the qualities of a Buddha and what happens when you become a Buddha, stuff like that, which was good. But I'll try to avoid the jargons and see what I can come up with for you guys. If you have any questions or clarifications, just let me know. I think a lot of us, firstly, when we think of being a Buddha, it means that one has overcome one's limitations and become the best person that we can possibly be. Actually, that has basis. It is correct, but it's not just becoming a better version of yourself. It is overcoming your delusions, your faults, and that is one of the qualities that a Buddha has achieved. And what kind of faults is the delusions? And delusions are what? Delusions are the negative emotions that arises because of our self-cherishing mind and a self-grasping mind. So what kind of delusions? The times when we get angry, we lose our temper, the times when we are jealous, the times when we are selfish, the times when we act out of self-importance, all the negative emotions, all the negative qualities that we can think of arises because of this view of ourself, right? So you have overcome that, and that is one of the main qualities of a Buddha. You have overcome this limited sense of self. And this limited sense of self is all of us who is still not a Buddha yet have. We have a view of ourselves and others based on ourselves. A selfish mind, basically, a self-cherishing ego. All right? So what happens is when you become a Buddha, you have overcome that. Okay? And you see, overcome that it's all fancy, and it's all, it's nice words, but what it means actually is that we actually stop creating all these harmful actions that eventually come back to us from the source, from our attitude, from the point of attitude that arises, that creates this, that compels us, that makes us be jealous, be selfish, be unkind, and make us more aware of others, right? So I see a lot more people come on. Martin, Kelvin, hi, welcome, good evening. Martin, hello. Karen, King Hoi, Shelley, Tenzin Kyapsum. I think that is it's familiar. I can't see the icon though. And someone in Chinese, I think from Bentong. Mun Teng, hello. I remember, yes, I owe you that meal. Christy Flores, JC, hello. Hannah Fu, and Sun Heng. Welcome. And where was I? Okay, I was trying to describe to you what happens when you become enlightened. So when you become enlightened, one of the qualities that you achieve is overcoming this limited sense of self, this sense of identity that we are most important. People are others, not just people, others. All right, others are less important, and we always think from ourselves first, and it's not a something that's conditioned from our family and all that. It is how we are, that there's because of lifetimes. So what happens is you overcome that, and because of that, it doesn't mean that you. Some people also think, oh, it means when you become enlightened, it means that you sit in an altar and your legs are folded and you become the clone of another Buddha statue. No, that's just Buddhist iconography. Okay, when you become enlightened, it's overcoming this limitation of the self. So you stop creating negative karma for yourself. So you understand? So on the flip side, if you rely on an enlightened being, all right, you're relying on a being who was just like you and me, but they have overcome their sense of self. So they have reached the journey. They've reached the end. So they're able to guide us. They're able to guide us. They're able to help us because they've reached the source. That's not the source, the end, the result, enlightenment. Complete overcoming of the self, so it becomes totally selfless. All right? So they've reached there. They're not. It's not a being pretending to be there or have, it is someone who has already reached there, who is already acting from that, selflessness. So what it means to you and me is that this being has able to guide us. I mean, if it's the Buddha, it's his Buddha's teachings because he has reached the end goal. It's not someone telling, there is a possibility that we become enlightened, but I have never reached there. It's not a Buddha saying, there is possible to overcome all our problems, blah, 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 but they have not reached there, they have not done it. No one has done it before. No, the Buddha has reached there, and he's telling you that it is possible. It is possible, because for some people, the idea of overcoming this limitation, this ego, is so daunting, so difficult, so impossible, that you need someone who has reached there to tell us, to show us. And unfortunately, the Buddha who has reached there is not here with us right now. So we have, secondary, tertiary, I don't know how many levels down lah. So I'm definitely not there. I've definitely not reached there yet. I wish. But I have met people who Rinpoche, for example, who is much further ahead, if not already reached the source. Okay? And so the idea about it is why we want to understand what a Buddha is. So we can make certain distinctions. When you think of a Buddha, most people have this in mind. I think people who don't understand Buddhism, most people think a Buddha is like a god, like someone who is all powerful, who has all the knowledge in the world, who is powerful and knowledgeable. That's about it. And that you pray like, you please him, you offer joss sticks to make him happy so that he will grant your wish. And that's most people who know little about Buddhism will understand of a Buddha. That's the closest concept they have, because for people, normal people, ordinary people out there who doesn't know much about Buddhism will not realize that what a Buddha is. So when you understand the certain qualities that he has reached the goal of enlightenment, reached the goal of overcoming the self, that they were once like us. The Buddha himself said, I'm not a god. He said that. Someone asked him, are you a god? He said, I'm not. I'm just a human being, but I've reached the far shore, the other side. And the other side is not a geographical location. It's not another country. It's not another universe, another dimension. It is a mental state. It's in your mind. The other side where it is possible, but we have not reached there yet, where the possibility of overcoming this selfishness. All right, so he's reached there. So he's pointing, oh, it's possible. So all you have to do is follow the steps, So it is important to understand. So I'm breaking down the Buddhist jargon, the hard words of Buddhism, the two words that in the text always says obstruction to liberation, obstruction to omniscience. So what I was talking about is obstruction to liberation, which is what's liberation? Obstruction to liberation, it is your delusions, your negative emotions that arises, the source of it. In Buddhism, all your negative emotions arises from your concept of the self, how you view yourself. Okay, so it sounds a bit deep, but actually it is not. All you have to do is take a moment, breathe in, and think about it. This concept of the self, who am I? Pastor David, Martin Chow, Bradley, Tenzin Kyabsum, this name that we hold on to, that I am supposed to be like this, I'm supposed to, this concept in our head is the source of everything, the self-cherishing mind, the self-grasping mind. It's the source of it. It's just words at the moment, but it's how you think. We use names like your name to hold on to this concept of yourself. But actually that concept, not the name, you do exist. I'm not saying you don't exist. The Buddha never said you don't exist. He's saying you do exist, but not in the way you think. All right? Not in the way you think. Okay? So at the moment, that is at the level I would go. Okay? So that's obstruction to liberation. So unfortunately, all our delusions, all the actions that arises from delusions, what sort of actions? Actions of your body, your speech, and your mind. Body means what? Your physical actions of giving gifts, of helping someone across the road, of doing some work that benefits someone, of slapping someone, of harming some animal, of killing, of slapping a mosquito, and enjoying it. All this creates karma. And karma is what goes around and comes back to you. And unfortunately, when karma is created and is gone, meaning you have purified it or you have experienced the karma, what comes next is imprints. So that is the obstruction to omniscience. And what happens is, because of it, we have many, many lifetimes of imprints, many, innumerable, with so many lifetimes, in our heads, not literally our head, but in our karmic store of things, in our mind, we have so much imprints. And this is the one that blocks us from seeing who we really are, from seeing the how reality it really is. And I'm putting in a very new age terms because so it's easier for you guys to digest. So in perceiving, in Buddhism, we always talk of shunyata, tongpani, which is emptiness, of of the nature of reality, which is empty of inherent existence. At the moment, these words may not, maybe you understand some of you, maybe you don't. But all of us understand that everything is impermanent. That is as close as we can get at this moment. All right? So in order to fully realize that, right, the Buddha has, okay, go back to the original topic, the Buddha has, and in order to have, what happens is for the Buddha, he has also purified all these imprints, this store of imprints that blocks us from perceiving reality as really is. All right? So, okay, this is as far as I go. Don't worry, I won't go longer and longer, more and more into it. So the Buddha has these two, obstruction to omniscience, obstruction to liberation, and basically, because he has reached he can show us, because you can rely on him to purifying negative karma. In fact, all our purification practices in Buddhism rely heavily on taking refuge in the Buddha. Yeah. So basically the Buddha, using his body, using his sound, his speech, which is mantra, okay, mantric recitation, using the mind of the Buddha, meaning you do the visualizations, you read about his teachings, contemplating, you can purify karma. So we can purify karma, body, speech, and mind through using the Buddha himself, for taking refuge in the Buddha. So by what power? Why power? If the Buddha was ordinary, he just reached the far shore. How come he has that? By the power of his realization of emptiness. Okay, the Buddha has realized complete understanding of reality, that nothing truly really exists in the way we think it is. So what happens is there's a special way. Emptiness is something that is both a realization of reality, and at the same time, it is a method for us to purify a lot of negative karma. Because you know why? We have so much imprint, so much negative karma. If we just do purification every day we do purification, for the rest of our lives doing purification, we will never finish. We will never get there if you just do relying on just ordinary purification mindlessly. So, but if we take the teachings, we apply the higher teachings, there are many, of course the Buddha has given many methods, and some of the methods are more advanced. Okay, so when we take, I won't go so much into detail of the advanced teachings, but when we apply that, we're able to purify that. Because a lot of people are asking, how do you purify a lot of negative karma? So purification is the way, right, to overcome all our problems. It is not the way to purify, just purify and purify and purify, because you'll never get there. Because we have so much previous lives, it is impossible to purify if you spend your whole life by ordinary means. So what the Buddha has said about was he gave you more advanced methods. So one of the advanced methods is Tantra, okay, which I won't go into it. And there are many teachings, okay, many methods to purify, to overcome. But the Buddha also said it will be better to strike your purification at the source, which is what this book is about. The source is your mind. Not going and mindlessly doing purification because you go, okay, purify 1 karma, 2 karma, 3 karma. How many karmas can you purify? Mathematically it's impossible because the amount of lifetimes we had versus the time we have on this earth, our whole lifetime basically, we don't have that much time to purify. We need to do more advanced practices. We need to upgrade ourselves spiritually. We need to do a lot because otherwise we'll come back and we'll start. Basically, generally speaking, when we say, we continue our next life, yes, it is possible. By the fluke and of our good merits and good karma, we can take rebirth and come back again. In the Lamrim says, don't risk it. Do not risk, do not pin your hopes of getting overcoming everything in your next life because you don't know. Firstly, the uncertainty that when you come back, whether you'll be human again. Second of all is that you have to start everything again. You have to relearn everything. When you start the whole ball rolling again. So there's too much at stake. That's why it's always to practice now. Don't wait till next life, 10 years from now, 5 years from now. Because And another thing is our negative karma doesn't stay the same. It does not. Even if you're a nice person, you're a good person, you are a good father, you're a good mother, you're a good sister, you're a good brother, you think you're so good, you don't commit any real negative karma, but your mind constantly multiplies the negative karma it has. As long as you are not a Buddha, right? As long as you have not achieved certain levels of attainment, you can bet on it. Your negative karma gets worse. And that's why our negative habits, as we get older, is harder to change. That's why we even use the phrase, I find it very more and more difficult to change. I find, to remember to do this, cannot. And then to change our habits is harder because our negative karma multiplies every single day. So I know I painted a very scary picture. I'm supposed to paint you a very beautiful picture of how, what a Buddha is like. But I paint you a very scary picture because this is the nature of Buddhist teachings. Buddhist teaching is to show you reality, show you your chances, show you what you're up against, and life itself is like that. So it is not meant to scare you they're not doing anything, you're scared of this, you're scared of that. It's actually a point of motivation. In Buddha's teachings, Sam Rinpoche said that when we meditate on death, it is not to scare you to become like, don't do anything. It's not a negative scare. It is a positive one. It is to motivate you to change, to look at things differently, to have a new perspective so your actions will be different. So that's the whole goal, and that's why we never paint, Buddha is all all the scarves rolling, servants feeding them, and all the virgins, waiting to be playmates. I know it sounds funny, but in Buddhism we don't have that kind of thing to motivate you. We show you reality as it is, your chances in this life and of the next. So for those of you who are smart, you won't take of this as negative. You will take of it as, okay, this is the truth. It sounds, maybe you don't fully agree with it, but the very fact that it affects you makes you think, why so scary? Means that there's an element of truth in it. And whatever I said is based on the teachings, on the Buddha's teachings, all right? And I just, rephrase it and made it in my own language, of course, for you guys. And if you find anything inaccurate or you don't agree, please voice. Oh, any questions also? You don't understand why I said like that, or you have some doubts, or you don't fully get why I said it like this. Because sometimes some things I said maybe needs further clarification. Sometimes, some terms I use, perhaps, if you need, just let me know. All right, so let's get on to it. We are on verse. I'm actually officially on verse 101, but I need to backtrack to 100 because otherwise, when I read 101, it doesn't make sense. All right. When on verse 100, I backtrack now. Then, for even the sake of but one sanctioned being, may we gladly take birth in the 3 lower realms. With enlightened conduct that never grows weak, may we lead all beings in miserable rebirths out of their sufferings and causes for pain. That's verse 100. For verse 101, as soon as we have placed ourselves into their realm, the 3 lower rebirths, may the guards of hells come to see us as gurus. May the weapons of torture they hold turn to flowers. May all harm be stilled, peace and happiness grow. Then may even hell beings, verse 102, then may even hell beings develop clairvoyance and take higher rebirths as men or as gods, by developing strongly the wish to be Buddhas. May they pay back our kindness through heeding the teachings and regard us as gurus with confident trust. Okay, so basically we have entered the part of the poem towards aspiration. What kind of aspiration? To be a fully enlightened being. Okay, when you take when you become a fully enlightened being, you're not scared anymore. People are thinking, oh, go to hell, I'll go through all that suffering. Why? You've reached the point where you can enjoy yourself already, what? But it's not. You have already reached a state of mind. Your mind has become fully enlightened. Your mind, to become fully enlightened, you have full courage. You will not be afraid of suffering. You will not be daunted by suffering. And you will gladly take it on because that's your nature. That's who you are. That's the nature of an enlightened being. Full courage, full of compassion. And unfortunately, as an enlightened being, there's no unfortunate. It's all fortunate. But for beings receiving the blessings, receiving the benefit, receiving the help, they need to have the karma to receive it. That's the unfortunate part. So for beings to be helped out of suffering, causes need to be created. All right? So that's why enlightened beings what they do is they use other aspects of their enlightenment, which is the power of instant magical emanation. I'm quoting from a text at the moment. The King of Prayers. The King of Prayers is taken from a sutra, by the way. I cannot remember what the sutra was, but the King of Prayers is something we recite when we finish a retreat. Okay, and in it is an aspiration to be a fully enlightened being, and listing out each qualities. One of the qualities listed in the King of Prayers is the power of instant magical emanation. The power of all-pervading love, compassion. Instant magical emanation is the ability to emanate, to multiply yourself. So what happens is when you reach that state, you don't have limitations of mind where you only one body. You can actually emanate out, to many emanations. Some of your emanations you can send down to hell, to help beings. Some of them you can send down to earth as a human being, as a guru, to guide people out. For example, Rinpoche. Tem Rinpoche. For example, some emanations, Tem Rinpoche himself said, not all emanations of enlightened beings have to be Buddhist. Sometimes, some enlightened beings will manifest in other faiths, in other traditions, in other religions, as their teachers, as their saints, to lead people away from suffering, to help beings, and manifest that kind of compassion that certain group of beings can only receive through that religion, through that path, through that faith. Okay, so there are emanation of enlightened beings who can do that. Emanations, yeah. So, and some emanations may not even be, as a guru, as someone who helps. So sometimes can emanate as other things, an ordinary person, but to do a specific task to help further, to benefit the world, to benefit sentient beings. So like some people, who do it secularly, found an organization, you can never know, some of them can be emanations. So Rinpoche has said that and explained that before. Okay, so in this, it said that all the emanations is you. It's you. You emanate there, and you perform the actual work. And firstly, you have the aspiration. And you're generating, when you recite this, you're generating aspiration. And that aspiration is the quality, the aspiration comes from the mind. The mind comes when you become fully enlightened being. When you generate aspiration to do all this, you're generating a mind of an enlightened being. And the mind of an enlightened being will have this kind of aspiration. So it goes both ways. It's an aspiration to be an enlightened being. At the same time, it's an enlightened being's type of mind and aspiration. They already have it. So in order to have it, you have to create the cause by aspiring to be a Buddha. Aspiration means, aspiring means you wish. It's a wish at the moment. It's a powerful wish if you make it. And if you read a lot of the origins of the Buddhas, the enlightenment comes from a wish, from a vow. From a vow they take. Some of them, they take vows, meaning they take a promise, a swearing, a promise that they will become enlightened to benefit sentient beings. All right. So in order to do that, they have to make the wish. So that's why in Buddhism, aspiration prayers is very, very important for our spiritual practice. And at the moment, our compassion is contrived. You know what's contrived? It means it's make up. It's just a wish. It's just, you aspire. You've not reached there yet. You have not nowhere near there, but you make that wish. And each wish that you make is karmic. It's karma. It's a karmic action of the mind. It's an action of the mind, some of the mind. So you make them, and it plants a seed very deep in our mind that one day will fruition, and you will be able to actualize it. So the more wishes you make for enlightenment, the more possible it will become. You imagine the world to be. Okay? I read from somewhere, it was a quote of Lama Tsongkhapa. Your world is, you imagine it to be. That means whatever circumstances you wish your world to be, how you see things to be, how you experience, it's from your mind. You wish it. Okay? It's from your mind. So at the moment, our mind is negative karma, it's bad things, it's good things. It's bad things, it's good things. So far we think, Buddhahood is impossible. We don't even make the wish. We don't even, when we pray, we recite mindlessly. But actually, when we actually make our personal wishes, we think, may I take a good rebirth? May this person take a good rebirth? May in the future we meet the Dharma again. We don't even make a higher one than just meeting the Dharma. We don't even wish for enlightenment. And enlightenment is possible for every Buddhist teacher has said it. Whether it's the Buddha himself, to Lama Tsongkhapa, to Dorje Shuten, any of his previous lives, has said it is possible for you to achieve that state. All you have to do is generate the mind. All you have to do is think it. Of course, to achieve that is another thing. You have to learn how to achieve. It is possible. It is possible. Everything is possible. So it is important that we all generate the mind. Whatever you want in life, whether it's worldly, it's spiritual, comes from a wish. And who gave you that wish? You yourself. And who put it in our mind? You yourself put it in your mind. Usually, a lot of our wishes are worldly, and it's put in our mind sometimes by our society. Society tells you to be happy, you have to make money. Society tells you to be, happy, you need to be rich. Society tells you, family tells you, culture tells you, and then it's put in your mind, and then it becomes a wish. And your wish is actualized when you go to school, you study, you put the effort to study, to get the grades, to get the certificate. You got your certificate, and then you have to, after you got a certificate, you graduate, and then you're happy, and then you party, you travel around the world, and then you come back to wherever you are, and then you get your job. And then society tells you need to have a boyfriend, a girlfriend. Okay, you get a boyfriend, girlfriend, pak to la, dating. And then you date, and then you're not happy, and then you find another one after another. Some people are more successful, some people are not. So the not so successful then maybe rely on the career, climb up the corporate ladder. Those who are more successful, if they're dating, maybe they also climb corporate ladder, and then also they get married, perhaps. Then they have children, and so on. So it comes from a wish. Enlightenment, all your attainments will come from a wish. Everything in life, that is how the nature of how our mind operates. So if you want to overcome all this, if you understand the problems, the faults that you experience in this life, all right, and where the source is, which is in the mind, and if you understand the Buddha's teachings enough, you realize that the source of all happiness and overcoming all our problems comes from the mind. And in order to completely reverse that, all our problems, all our suffering, all our issues, is to become a Buddha. All right, so that's the whole gist of it, and that's the whole point. Okay, and that was, so that you're making a wish. You're making a wish to have that kind of mind that when you go to hell, you'll help the beings there. you will benefit even the guards who torture you. The guards who torture you will look at you like a guru, because you're only spouting Dharma, you're only benefiting people, your whole energy and your whole demeanor, everything benefits. So even the guards are transformed by you. All right. And everything from the flowers, from the weapons turned into flowers. And this is reminiscent of the Buddha himself when on the verge of becoming fully enlightened. The demons and everything that he waged war. They came to wage war. The demons. There's many interpretations to this story. The interpretation that is a normal one is that the demons of the world, the spirits of the world, from Mara's children, alright, they come and gather like a huge army to attack the Buddha, to stop him from achieving enlightenment. Another interpretation of the story is the inner battle is in the mind. All the demons are not physical demons. It's in the mind of the Buddha. So they came to stop his previous negative karma. So, but because he already reached such a high state of realization, he's able to overcome the whole demon horde. What are the demon hordes? What demons they have in the Buddha's mind? It is his negative karma, his delusions, imprints of his delusions. So when each arrow and weapons and projectiles which were shot at the Buddha turned to flowers, because it became ineffective. It is overcome by the Buddha's compassion, wisdom. So this is what happens here as well. Okay, so you have achieved the state of mind that none of your negative karma, the imprints, can affect you, they can stop you on your spiritual progress. At the moment, all of us are infants, Infants means baby. So we are taking baby steps right now in our practice. So when we take our baby steps, we can easily be harmed by someone, something, meaning on the path, meaning our own. It's not an external thing. In Buddhism, nobody can actually really harm you except your mind, except you yourself. I mean, in terms of your spiritual practice, if they take you away from the Dharma, okay, that is the real harm. And for us, that kind of harm is very easy because our mind are not firm yet. Our resolution, the understanding of the Buddha and the Buddha's teachings is not really firm. We're not there yet, where we are more, able to do it on our own. So we need a lot of support from people, from a community of fellow Dharma practitioners. We need that because we are all Dharma infants. So if we were to go on our own, do a Rinpoche, go to another country and fight the culture, not literally fighting, but as in to tell them a message that they, to teach the Dharma. What Rinpoche complains most when you listen to Rinpoche's teachings is when he gives advice to people, he teaches the Dharma, people don't transform, don't change, don't take the advice. They don't see it long term. They always see it short term. They always see it from the perspective of their self-benefit. So what happens is a lot of resistance. So if you and I were to go somewhere, another place, to start all over and to spread, let's say to be a teacher, it's huge struggles. So we are not there yet. We're not a Rinpoche in that sense, that kind of courage and that kind of determination. So we need support. So it's important. So I often stress this because I realize this in myself and in a lot of people. So for those of us who are on the fringes, who is alone, that's why internet is very important, to connect with a virtual community of practitioners. We need inspiration. We need inspiration. We need support. We need some kind of community, some kind of friends in Dharma to help us along the path. If we don't have that, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to progress is one thing. Another thing is we can easily get lost. All right, I don't see any questions. Maybe I'm going too deep, whatever. But I hope what I've said has helped you. And please let me know if you have any questions and if any Any doubts? It doesn't have to be what I'm talking about Dharmic questions, about practice, about something I said before, or maybe something I've not said at all, or you wish me to explain certain things that I've not covered. Also can, no problem. All right. Okay, so where was I? 102. Let me scroll out and see where. Yeah, 102. So I'll go to 103. Then may all sentient beings of the 3 higher rebirths, perfect meditation, egolessness, in this way may they realize non-self existence of worldly involvement and freedom as well. May they place concentration on both of these equally, seeing their natures as equally void. Okay, this is a little bit technical. 3 higher rebirths is what? 3 higher rebirths is human realm, demigod, and godlike realm. So these are the 3 fortunate rebirths. Fortunate in what sense? Fortunate only in one sense, which is they are less physical suffering. Less. So as you go out, less physical suffering. But doesn't mean that they've overcome the ego, they become a Buddha, or they're near Buddhahood. Nowhere near Buddhahood. None of them in that state of rebirth. You're not close to Buddhahood at all, just by being born there. All right. In fact, the higher you go, the less physical suffering you have, there are more obstacles. Just like lower rebirths is physical hardship, pain, suffering. The more physical suffering that you experience. So Dharma is impossible. To practice the Dharma is almost impossible. Almost, I won't say impossible, almost impossible as you go down, because suffering is too great. Going above, suffering is less, but obstacles are more. The suffering takes the form of mental suffering. All right, mental suffering. So mental suffering is, in Buddhism, believe it or not, I don't know whether you believe it or you accept this, is equal to physical suffering, if not more. Okay, people think, mental suffering is not so, it can easily overcome, it's not so important. The people say, but actually it's not, it's equal. So the mental suffering that comes when you have no physical pain is what? It's your negative emotions. When you have a lot of abundance of physical pleasure, you're abundant of leisures, and you're abundant of time, and you have everything that you want, right? What happens? You're too distracted. Firstly, you're too distracted to practice because you're always chasing after your distractions, attachments. Some of us doesn't have to go to the higher realms to achieve that. You don't need to go to higher realms. Some of us are very busy chasing after attachments. And you know how we know that? It's because when the attachment is taken from us forcefully, we suffer. That's how you know it's an attachment. For example, when we were all under lockdown, how much we suffer. Many of us, we are bored, we cannot stand each other, we fight so much at home because we face each other all day, every day, 24 hours, our family, our housemates, or whatever it is. Even that really gives you a glimpse of how our mind operates already. And that's why when you have everything good, it's not necessarily a good thing. All right? So in Buddhism, mental suffering is equal to physical suffering, if not more. So that's why Rinpoche teachers, Buddhist teachers, what they do is they place a lot of importance on teaching and not doing charity work. Rinpoche is an exception though. He has tremendous amount of energy, so he's able to expand his energy, expand his field of vision. He's an exceptional being because not all teachers are extraordinary beings like Rinpoche. So many Buddhist teachers, like, other Buddhist teachers, I won't quote names. So what they do is they place their main emphasis on teaching. And that is their main source of helping others, benefiting others. And so what Rinpoche said before is mental suffering and physical suffering actually is the same. In fact, your mental suffering will lead to physical suffering. It's just that because we don't have enough conviction in karma, we don't realize it. We don't realize that people who are very attached will take a negative rebirth one day. Okay, a lot of us are very, very, very attached. So we will take a negative rebirth. The lightest negative rebirth is an animal realm, where in terms of suffering, meaning physical suffering. Already when you look at animals, we are saying, oh, we don't want to be we don't want to be a tiger, we don't want to live in the jungle, we don't want to be always, when you look at National Geographic, you always feel a sense of, some of them look so ugly, some of them, all they do is they eat, they find another animal to chase and then chew up, and they attack, and the way they attack is very cruel. We think that. And then other than that is always we're mating, as an animal. We're mating, we're eating, we're mating, chasing for food, mating. That's it. That's the sum of an animal's life. So they will not do more than that. And the problem about that rebirth is they don't have the mental capacity. They're not intelligent enough to think higher. Yeah, some of you are thinking, oh, what about, the dolphins, who is high IQ, the pigs. Apparently, pigs have very high IQ, I was told. Pigs are very high IQ, and I don't know, some other animals have high IQ, but not high enough that they're able to practice the Dharma. They're able to have a language to... You see, animals have language. Dolphins have, there's kind of a bleep. I don't know what sound they make. They bleep. It sounds like a bleep. Anyway, they make sounds. It's kind of like a language, but the language will not have the sophistication of a human language, a human adult language, okay? Adult language, which can communicate feelings, can communicate scenarios, hypothetical scenarios. Hypothetical means made up, a possible scenario that can make up, that they can explain a lot of things that usually animal highest intelligence will be the highest, as far as I've read now, okay, maybe you could be, I could be wrong about this, is usually about a 6 or 7 year old child, the highest that I know of. So whatever it is, they will not go beyond that, okay, as an animal. So they will never be able to practice the Dharma. So you do not want to take that rebirth. Okay, so I don't know why I'm talking. Oh yeah, because I was talking about the high rebirths. So a lot of them will end up lower rebirths, unfortunately. Although superficially it looks better. So you do not want to wish to reach that state. Okay, when you go there and then you go down again, that's why it's samsara, it's a cycle. Calvin says, oh my God, animals are so cute. Yeah, of course, they're very, very cute. I mean, if you talk of Rinpoche's dog, he's very, very cute. The Oser and Dharma, they're very cute. They're very cuddly. All they do is their whole life, they're blessed to be in the presence of a Lama who is able to bless them, but they cannot practice the Dharma. They cannot change the karma. They cannot purify the karma in a sense of doing purification practices. They can only hope for blessings. So someone have to bring them around, chase them around a stupa. I saw a video today. Someone was chasing them, so they mindlessly go around, running around, thinking it's fun and games. So, but that will have imprints and blessings in their mind. But they have not purified in a sense of the level of purification that a person who engaged in purification practice can achieve. Okay? They cannot reach that. If you consciously practice purification, any practice, right? According to the 4 opponent powers, your level of purification will exceed any animal going around the stupa mindlessly. So purification practices for anybody is important. Don't just think it's mindless. Don't do it as a mindless practice, like an animal being chased around the stupa. Don't do that. Meaning, chase around the stupa mindlessly means you just do the recite only. You should understand what the purification practice is and do the visualizations, the mantras and all that. And focus. All practices we should focus. All practices. Since we have the ability to do the practice, the understanding that it's important to focus, and why we focus in Buddhism, why we do meditation, to develop focus, concentration. So, how to develop concentration? one step at a time. When you get distracted, bring it back. Just like the way JP has conducted his sessions on the breathing meditation on every weekend, we should do it that way. So even our practice, our sadhanas, we should focus and not let our mind distract. We think about tomorrow, we think about the pretty girl, we think about the handsome boy, we think about the cartoon we watched just now, we think about the movie we watched, or the food we're going to eat, or the holiday we had, or the list goes on. I can go on, and your mind actually goes on. When you do your sadhana, when you think of one, it leads to another, you most of the time we don't even realize we have lost the train of thought, and we always think that okay, it's normal and then we just let it be. Don't fight it. How not fight it lah, just bring it back. Focus. Okay, if you find that a problem, start focusing on the breath. Rinpoche said for a beginner, start on the breath. Start on breath, not on the breath. Rinpoche said when you do practices, especially mantra, not the breath, focus on the sound of the mantra, the recitation. So it's good to recite it out loud. Focus on that. If you have a problem with all the visualization, all the Buddhas and colors and all that, focus on the sound. So that will help develop your mind to another level. Start from that way. Okay? An animal will not be able to do that, that's for sure. So, higher rebirths. So what happens is, it says in this way, they realize non-true existence. Okay, perfect the meditation on egolessness. That may they realize the non-self-existence of worldly involvement and freedom as well. May they place concentration on both of these equally. So what happens is, so may they realize the source of all their issues and problems, which is from the self-grasping, self-cherishing mind. And may they overcome that. And they understand that the leisure that they have is only temporary. Okay? The freedom and involvement, the leisure. So in the higher rebirth, usually what happens is the leisure means what? The leisure is the ability to have, to have whatever they want, to have all the perks of being of having the partners, the enjoyments, the sensory enjoyment, the food, and so you're having all that. There's no time for Dharma practice to develop the mind. So what happens is you wish that you pray that the Buddha actually went to the higher realms to give teachings even. And he gave teachings specifically for those beings. Some of the teachings have been brought down. Apparently, there are some teachings that we have right now, some practices, some deity practices that we have was originally from the Buddha at that time when he went to give teachings. But most of the teachings that the Buddha gave was probably for the beings of that realm. And if you don't believe in such places, beings just in the human realm, just being where we are, there are a lot of people who are basically in the higher realms. Higher realm, meaning who have power, who have money, who have leisure, who have, living like gods, meaning they have whatever they wish for, a huge property, a lot of possessions, jewelry, clothes, food, friends, company. And what happens is there are people like that, and a lot of them, in fact all of them they have their own problems, their own issues. It's impossible that they don't have any problems, although we looking from afar look at them, they look like they're having the time of their life. We wish we were them, but actually you do not wish you were them, because you will not wish if you knew what problems they have and how their own situation of being privileged, of being wealthy, of being having money, having nice cars, having businesses, presents a lot of problems that you probably cannot even imagine the problems. So Don't think everything, don't just judge things naively. Don't look at, you know what naive means? Naive means you just look at it from a very, very superficial way, very innocent, like, you know, that you don't know the full picture of things. So in the world itself, everybody have problems. In reality, everybody have problems, everybody have issues, everybody has problems that they're facing, and it's impossible. And just because you don't see it doesn't mean they don't have it. Just because you think that you have problems, you yourself have so many problems, you think your problem is only you yourself have, but actually everybody has problems. Some have more than us, and you know what, they deal it better. Some people have less problems, but they deal it worse. So whatever it is, the Buddha has already pointed out and showed you what's the source of your problem and how to overcome it. And it's actually a mental thing. It's a mental thing. It's an attitude thing. And I'm giving you in a very modern language. All right? Okay, I've just noticed a comment here, I think. It's a pretty long one. From Miaoki. Okay, let me see. I am sorry to trouble you, but can you please advise me in this matter? My pet dog, who have been dead for 5 years plus, and when I want to move to my new house, I asked my husband to dug up her body and my garden, as I wanted to bring her to bury it in my new house. But I'm surprised her beautiful white skin still intact, and I can see her skeleton inside the transparent white skin instead of skeleton. So we don't take her body but bury it back, as I don't stay in my old house. Can you advise me what to do with her body, as I've thought of selling my house, but her body is still buried in the garden? Do I need to take out her body? May I know why her skin still intact more than 5 years? She is a Labrador, and when she passed away, I requested Lama to come and do prayers for her too. Is it the correct way? Miaoki, yeah, I don't know why the skin is intact. It could be the condition of the soil. Maybe it is pretty dry. Usually when, I'm no science expert here, but as far as I know, when conditions of the soil is dry, the conditions surrounding the dead body, so happen is it dried up. So when it dries up, it stays intact for quite long, you know. So whatever it is, it's up to you what you want to do. But in the Buddhist way, it's fine. What you did before asking a Lama to bless your dog is wonderful. What you can do with dead animals is that you can collect the skin, not the skin, sorry, the fur or the nails, right? And you can keep it. Make sure it is clean, of course. Maybe you disinfect it. Disinfect with a disinfectant, and then keep it, and you can give to Kechara or a pastor, or you keep it to when we have a puja, when the lamas come. So what happens is it can be consecrated and put into a Buddha statue. Right now, you cannot put a dead animal or even a dead person, a deceased person, you cannot put it directly, because that would be negative karma for the person. Because when you pray to a Buddha, you're praying to a dead person who doesn't have the attainments. So it's actually bad karma for the person if they don't have the attainments. So what happens is, in order to, what they do is, in Tibetan tradition, is they consecrate the remains so that it becomes consecrated to be quality of like the Buddha. So when it's placed inside, it becomes relics. So that will benefit the deceased. For example, your dog. It can be done that way. Or you can, what I would do personally, this is up to you, you don't have to follow, all right? I would personally cremate the remains of the dog, of your pet, so that it is ashes, it's easier, especially for this. I would not recommend you dismantling and doing more to it. Up to you. Or you can just leave it, and just from time to time do prayers. You can recite mantras and blow onto your dog. But if you're moving, I would just advise you to cremate it. Yeah, there is a cremation service for dogs, Heavenly Gate in Kechara. You can ask Kechara for context regarding that. You can cremate your dog. That would be most hygienic, I think. in handling the remains of your dog. And the reasons why your dog has, preserved, as I said before, that it's probably the condition of the soil. I don't think, usually animals do not have attainments where it arisen from their attainments, and that's why they have, no, I don't think so. It's just the condition of the soil. All right? So that's what I think. So there's a lot of other people that have joined on. Thank you very much. I'm almost done. I just have to recite a few more. Oh, actually I have to recite to 10. I'm at 104, 103. Yeah, okay, let me continue. Sorry. If we practice these methods, we shall soon overcome our true enemies, selfish concern and self-love. If we practice these methods, we shall overcome also false concepts of ego we hold to be real. Thus, by joint meditation on egolessness and on non-dual wisdom of voidness and bliss, how can anyone not gain the causes to win a Buddha's physical form and its fruit, Buddhahood? That's verse 104, all right? And verse 105, O mind, understand that the topics discussed here are interdependent phenomena all, for things must rely on dependent arising to have an existence they cannot stand alone. The process of change is alluring like magic, for physical form is but mental appearance, as a torch whirling round seems a circle of of flame. That's verse 105. And verse 106, there is nothing substantial to anyone's life force. It crumbles apart like a water-soaked log, but there is nothing substantial to anyone's lifespan. It bursts in an instant like bubbles of foam. All the things of this world are but fog-like appearance. When closely examined, they fade out of sight. Like mirages, these things at a distance seem lovely. When we come closer, they are not to be found. Okay, so it builds up into a kind of an advice, all right? At the beginning, it says that we need to overcome the source of all our problems is our self-love, our selfish concern, which is elaborated, and they elaborate here, the Lama here elaborates your ego, okay? Your selfish concern is what? It's false. It's not real. That's why it says false concepts of egos we hold to be so real. It's so important. It's so important that we have to do this. It's so important that we have to do that. Because why? Because we put it in our minds. And where it comes from a mind? No. It's from our concept of the self. It's from you first. Everything comes from you. All your actions, all your thoughts comes from you. And all the negative karma and positive karma comes from you as well. So at the moment, why we're creating so much negative karma all the time is because why we have all these negative emotions all the time, repeated again and again, every single day. Just count the amount of times we lose our temper, the amount of times we are angry, the amount of times we are selfish, the amount of times we are stingy, the amount of times we do things, we manipulate things, we're jealous, we are lazy, we are unkind. You just count the amount of times when we just honestly and we consciously think about it and realize all the things that we do. Some of the things we don't even count, if we actually keep count, some of the things we don't even count as something selfish or whatever is we don't even realize it is. We don't. And that's the problem, because most of the actions go on unrealized, that it is harmful. Yeah, we don't even realize it, and we think it. Eventually, it is reflected in actions, and then we collect the karma. Even when you think, we collect the karma. So all this karma is collected every single moment. All right, it all comes from this concept, which is not real. It's not real. This sense of self, it doesn't really exist. So that's why we need to have certain kind of realizations to overcome it. And it takes a lot of merit to completely overcome it. A lot of merit, a lot of purification, a lot of merit, a lot of understanding and application and methods, special methods to overcome this concept. Once you overcome this concept, false concept of the ego, you have no idea how much karma, negative karma. Firstly, you avoid doing. Secondly, you will eliminate many in the past. Okay? When we completely eliminate everything, that's when we realize and become a Buddha. Okay? So then it goes on to interdependent origination. Everything in this universe, everything in our lives, don't thought it's universe lah. The whole universe is our lives lah, right? Everything that we have done in our lives comes from something we think about and then we do. In order to succeed in life, in a secular life, of course, we need to get a job. We need to be a certain personality, dress well, appearance must be clean. Everything comes from us. So all this will lead to a career, some sort of worldly happiness, some sort of relationship, friendship. So all this depends one after another. So I'm giving you an example, a real life example for you. Everything is dependent on something you did before. So everything that we do, grooming, buying clothes, leads us to a job, leads us to a relationship, leads us to friendship, leads us to a lot of things. This is an easy to understand explanation on interdependent origination. Okay. So one thing lead to another, lead to another, lead to another. All right. So in order to realize all this, where it all comes from, where it all goes in the end, right? What happens is we need to realize this in order to achieve certain levels of attainments, in order to achieve what we overcoming of the ego and negative karma and all that. All right. So at this level is enough for you to understand. Next is the next will be an advice already about this life, about life itself, that it is fragile, that it's like a bubble. This one here says like a water-soaked log. A log is a piece of wood in the water. Okay. Is a piece of wood in the water. What happens is anytime it will crash, it will sink, it will burst into bits. Anytime, because the water in a river, when there's current, there's waves, there's rocks, there's a lot of things that can destroy the piece of wood. Because this Lama was from Indonesia, so that's the visuals that he had from his surroundings. But in India, what they do, and in Tibet actually, what they usually say is like a bubble. Like many of the prayers I read, is like a bubble. Life is like a bubble that bursts in any time. Anytime it can come to an end. Anytime. Okay? So it's uncertain how long. Because let's face it, okay? To give you an understanding of how uncertain life is, because many of us don't realize it. We do not. Is people think that you exercise a lot, you will live long. That you will live to a very... All of us understand that actually we will never live forever. It's impossible at this time, all right? So, but the understanding of how fragile life is, I think a lot of people can see that, the COVID virus, it's come to the forefront these days, that anytime, we can go out, walk out on the street with our face masks, and then we will catch the disease, and then we'll be in the hospital, and maybe we will die. So I think that is pretty good. Another thing is that being healthy does not guarantee you a long life. It does give you quality of life, but it does not guarantee long life. It does not guarantee that tomorrow you will not... And we're not talking of dying naturally, because there's so many ways of dying that is unnatural, that is sudden. For example, we can get into a car crash. We can be driving somewhere and then, we lose control of the car and you crash and we die. We can walk somewhere and something drops on your head and, you're killed instantly. You can be shot by a robber, by someone who comes in suddenly, and you have no way of knowing. Some people, maybe they have a premonition, but most people don't. Okay, so we don't have premonition. It can come anytime at any place. It can be, we can get a heart attack, not from someone else, it's from us. Even if you are totally healthy, there's many cases of people getting heart attack because perhaps their family of the disease, whatever it is. So there's so many ways you can die at any time, anywhere. What does that all mean? It means that life is precious. It means that our preparation for the next life should begin now. That's what it means. It's not to scare you. It's not to scare you to be like, the idea that you can die anytime is to scare you until that some people are so scared, they lock up the doors, they never go anywhere. They're so scared. And they put in all the precautions. They take all the precautions to avoid any possible death, but they don't do the real precautions, the real preparation for death, which is to prepare for the next life, which is develop yourself spiritually. To learn about the Buddha, to learn about the methods, purification, to engage in practices, to ensure that we're okay in the next life, to have some sort of blessing, some sort of seeds. Even if we don't achieve it in this life, at least when we start on the journey, it's good. Not the best, but good. At least we go somewhere. At least we head somewhere spiritually. So that, my friends, is more important than buying a lot of insurance to insure ourselves. Or I've seen one documentary. Some old people, what they do is they start preparing for the funeral. I've seen once this documentary. This lady, she's very old already. So her preparation was she prepared herself. She bought all this paper furniture. This is Chinese of course. Paper furniture put in the house. Then she buy all this paper money, and then they fold it into ingots. So she spent all her days folding it into ingots, so that when she dies, she instructed someone, her children or someone, to make sure that all these are burned for her, so that she has something to spend on in her afterlife. So actually, I won't comment so much about the burning of all this, but in Buddhism, it's not so important to engage in those things. It's more important to develop ourselves in this life before we reach the end. To prepare ourselves with our mind, with our karma, with our merits, with our connection to the Buddhas. And especially, we are very lucky and fortunate, you guys, to have a Dharma protector that is this powerful, this strong affinity with us, this effective, that a lot of us have a lot of faith in him. So when it comes to an end, we will need to rely on him. Okay, and his ability to help us at the point of death depends on our connection with him. And how do we develop this connection? He already has said it. And if you read his prayers, he tells you exactly what to do. It tells you need to have devotion to your teacher. You need to collect the merits. You need to study the Dharma to be on the path, so that your merits will be enough for him, so that what happens is he wants you to collect as much merit as possible, so that when it comes to that point where you cannot control, you cannot help it, which is your point of death, he will be able to, because he will use it. All right? So it's important. Hello, Eric. You have a question. What causes lead to die in accident? Can we purify it? To die in an accident, it's hard to say. The causes of death we create it all the time, in a sense that usually what happens is, what shortens life, the causes of life to be short is killing, harming others, physically harming, and also just basically harming. As far as I know from my Dharma knowledge, it could be more than that. So in this day and age, how do we harm? We don't really harm physically. We don't engage in wars and kill your friend and kill your enemies and harm others physically. We don't really do that. Or some of us may do, meaning we don't kill friends and family and the strangers or people. I don't think most people do not do that anymore. What people do these days is we probably do one or two things. We probably kill a lot of insects. Yes, insects. We probably kill a lot of insects, a lot of ants, a lot of rats, cockroaches. These are the things we do a lot. We do a lot of killing. And when mosquitoes come, instinctively, we don't even think. We forget about karma. We forget about you. We swat at the mosquito and oh, it's such a relief, no more inch. But we killed the mosquito. And somehow we are happy about it. And when we are happy that we killed the mosquito, the full karma comes to you. It's funny. Some of you may probably be giggling right now, but let's put it karmically speaking. If you believe in karma, you have got it. You have got the full brunt of the karma because you rejoice at the end. If you didn't rejoice, it's partial. Still get it, but not the full thing. And one of the causes of killing, you shorten your life. And that will, one manifestation of a shortened life is that you die in an accident. Well, there's so many ways of dying, so that's not just the only one, but generally speaking, that's one. Insects and pests. The other way of killing and harming others is what? Meat. Sorry for those who love meat so much. I have to tell you, I have to explain to you, and some Buddhists may not fully agree with me, but this is how I view it. Okay? You may not be the person to be killing the animal, the pig, the fish, to be fishing. You're not the fisherman, but you create demand for it. You create the demand by consuming it. So what happens is the cause of killing will be disease, and, for example, a sudden death, an accidental death, whatever it is. So these are as far as I can think of, the two ways that we cause harm. So there is ways of purifying, or the third way. There's actually another way, which is unlikely unless you're a mother or a parent. You do it. It's an abortion. That's also another way. These days we don't physically harm others physically that much, unless Another way is probably you yourself as a carrier of the COVID virus and you spray it around and you are the cause of people to die. That's another way. Okay, I think I can't think of any others, but there's so many more. Jerry asks, how about abortion or miscarriage? Can it be purified? Okay, Jerry, abortion is intentional. Miscarriage is not. Okay, there's a difference, huge difference karmically speaking. When something is intentional, it is killing. Unintentional, it is not killing to the full extent of it, but there is there's some karma because you've created the cause for it. So what happens is the karma for miscarriage is a lot less. But what happens is, how can it be purified? There's a few ways you can go about of this purification in that sense. Few ways of purification in the sense of for abortion, of killing. Abortion in the past, I know of Rinpoche had given specifically of this person who had this person that I know of. I don't know who the person is, but I know of the case, is to sponsor a lot of Buddha statues. The Buddha form. A statue is a Buddha's body, okay? So to be given out to different people, and when they pray, so the merits will come back to the person to purify a lot of the negative karma. That's one way of purification, sponsoring a lot of Buddha statues. Another way is animal liberation, which is another one. Purification of, and it's not just purification of killing, of abortion. It can be purification to extend, it also can be a cause to extend one's life as well. Same thing with the Buddha statues. And a lesser way would be prostrations. That would be a bit more physically demanding. So you need to do a lot of physical prostrations. Prostration is not prostrating to a wall, not to the air, not to the sea, to the Buddha. Okay, specifically, the best object of prostration would be, any Buddha is excellent, but the best one would be the 35 confessional Buddha. Actually, no. Sorry, I stand correct. I will correct myself. Not even a 35, your guru. Prostrating to your guru. is more important, is the supreme. Then the 35 confessional Buddhas, then the other Buddhas. But anyway, any prostration is great. By tradition, we prostrate to the 35 confessional Buddhas. You can do it by recitation, but the best way is to physically do it. You have to ask someone to help you, teach you how to do it. This will not be the platform to show it at the moment. All right, so that's about it. You can ask me personally more if you need to get more clarification about this. Okay, Jerry? I've caused a lot of questions suddenly. Stephen Yo, I'm new to this program. Can you briefly enlighten me the meaning of Kechara? What's the teaching? You have an office in KL? Stephen, Kechara is an organization that is based on a Rinpoche. A Rinpoche is a spiritual teacher in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. Okay, Tibetan Buddhists. So we are Buddhists, but in a Tibetan tradition. So Kechara itself, the name Kechara is not like the Malay word Kencana. Kechara is actually a heavenly place of a particular Buddha that we aspire to take rebirth in. Okay, so that's the name. Okay, there's more to it, but just in a gist, in a nutshell for you quickly. And in KL, we have Kuala Lumpur itself, we have a soup kitchen, not a religious arm, a charity arm. You have to go to PJ, Sunway Mass. I would advise you, if you want to find further details, write in, or you go on kechara.com to get the address of our outlets. And okay, so that would be good. And hello, Stacy Sidro. What about when we self-harm? What kind of negative karma you mean? I think that's what you mean, right? Yeah, of course. When you self-harm, okay, what happens is you physically harm yourself, you kill yourself. The worst is suicide, actually. That is like killing, that's the equivalent to killing someone. Although you're killing yourself, you're not killing anyone else, it's the full brunt of the negative karma of killing. Okay? It's very heavy. In fact, it's said that you take a huge negative rebirth in hell, actually. There's a place for people who commit suicide, actually. Unfortunately, because why? Killing in Buddhism is extremely bad. And when you're killing a person, especially, and who you kill, what you kill makes a difference. So if you're killing yourself or someone else, the karma is extremely heavy. And if it's someone of, who is more senior or spiritually attained, it's even heavier. So there is a lot of differentiation. I won't go into it right now. It is highly negative, very bad. Okay? And Meow Key, does gays and lesbians have bad karma? You got a very interesting question here, Melky. So, what do you term as negative karma? Why is it negative karma in that sense? By being gay and lesbian, because sexual orientation is something that is different. That there are places that it depends. It depends on the person. For that person. Logically speaking, it can be huge negative karma. It can lead the person to be perhaps in a society that doesn't accept this person, so they will be very negative. They will meet a lot of bullying and all that, and then it will lead to a lot of negative scenarios, and perhaps there's many cases of suicide, and also there are cases where society is outlaw, and then they go to jail, they're in prison, or whatever it is. Or it could be, on the other hand, it could be a society that accepts and they're fine. So in the end, it's not the sexual orientation and negative karma, it's the individual. Okay, so it depends. It really, really depends. It is not per se negative. You can even say being a female is negative. Is it heavy negative karma? Because some people think it is. It's not necessary. Okay. So, wait, I'm way off time. Did I read to? I didn't. Okay, I think I will stop here. I'll probably do more next week to cover up. But thank you for your questions, and please come again. Come on again. Log on tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow. Next week, same time, 9:30, same place. All right, thank you very much. I'll do that quick dedication now. 전주 센쇼 rinpoche, 마이 바나 gyushe, 개바 야마미 바양, 고네 고도 빼와쇼, 토니 동아 rinpoche, 마이 바나 gyushe, 개바 야마미 바양, 고네 고도 빼와쇼, 다소 제네 사바게 와디, 타나 드와 곤랑카 바다, 제보 조조 로손 드라바이, tan being purindu sa she sho, kewa gundo yana lamadan, dremi jogi palo long joshin, sadalang gion terror choni, doji changi go bang yuto sho, gewa di yuruda, lama sangi juni, chuwa chikin malupa de sala go basho. Chuju jabo songa ba, chozo nama pewala, gikisha machi wadan, tuni malun shang sho, dara shingi dosundan, George letani, gewa lozon drabo, tamparin ba, gyushi, nimu dela santele, neme goyen dela shin, yasan tatu dele pel, contrasuning gilo, contrasuning odoso, contrasuning tashi sho, jazu lama kuso ratun shi, namka chile joki pada, losan tami join sansungi, join statu ne gyushi, gangri rawi koa shingam den, penende oma lo kyo ina, chenrezik wantan zin gasoyi, shapi sidi badu den gyushi, hong tombe ngodu malopa, dene dala sadaso, kodan temba lo chunam, keba sushi, shuk den sel. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.